Here's someplace we haven't spent time in this course. This is where I administer SharePoint and Office 365, and my waffle has an admin tile that I can click, and I end up right where I just was. Compliance and security settings are changing even as this course is being recorded for SharePoint Online. You'll notice the banner at the top says, "We'll be changing you over to a new admin center soon." Try it today, and I can do that, but I want to show you what I have already. There are some newer features in SharePoint for security and compliance, and in order to access those and set them up, you need to have administrative permissions. But the goal is to make security and complying with policies very, very easy for users and easy to administer for the folks who administer SharePoint sites. In admin, when I choose security, I go now to a compliance center, and this is where I've been working. I have the ability to set standards for how archiving happens, for example. I have the ability to set up data loss prevention policies, and I haven't configured any of these policies, but there are built-in policies already. What data loss prevention does is tries to ensure that employees in your organization aren't sharing credit card information, social security numbers, and other data, usually accidentally, but still represents a data breach. And you can create data loss prevention policies here in the administration of SharePoint. To learn more about doing that, there's a link, but if you've been administering SharePoint for a while and have been working with Exchange Administrator, we've had data loss prevention policies for Exchange for quite a while. This is just an extension of them into SharePoint. E-discovery also, not at all new, but e-discovery is where we look for issues that are non-compliant or are suspected of being non-compliant. So when I set up data loss prevention policies, I will actually investigate how they're being used in e-discovery. This is a part of the Compliance Center that has access to all of SharePoint, all of Exchange, all of OneDrive, and can go look and see, in these emails, this user appears to have included some credit card information, for example. Or the name e-discovery is because of legal discovery. If your organization is involved in litigation, it's possible that you would need to set up an e-discovery case to provide evidence. Here's where I can work with my auditing reports. This is where I can set retention for Exchange mailboxes, but also document retention policies for SharePoint Online and for OneDrive for Business. For example, if my organization has a policy that once a document has been created, it has to be kept for 2 years, then I'm going to have a deletion policy that doesn't allow it to be deleted before then. So deletion policies help enforce appropriate retention. Permissions here are only for this Compliance Center. It may be that our legal department provides an e-discovery manager, and I can then assign someone to that e-discovery manager role. Perhaps I have someone who's in a position to do a supervisory review over employee communications. So this allows me to assign a new user to these roles. Finally, I can do a compliance search in email, in all of my documents, in Skype for business conversations, and so on, to check our compliance. This is a piece of an auditing function. And notice for all of these I can learn more. This is how this looks today. The next time I come and work in compliance, I won't have a compliance center anymore. I will have a protection center. And it will look like this. Here's a tour, and I can always go back from here. But here are the permissions I just looked at. This is where I set my data loss prevention policies, my data management policies, including retention and archiving, where we conduct search and investigation. This was 3 different places. It still is, but e-discovery, a search of audit logs, and then a content search, reports, and finally, service assurance, to be able to report and have a dashboard about this, which is one of the new features of our Protection Center. Whether your organization uses the Compliance Center or the Protection Center, the goal of all of these tools is to create safe boundaries within the enterprise and assure no data breaches, while making it easy for users to get their job done.